So according to Honda, you want to measure the chain flex on the bottom run of the chain halfway between the front and the back of the motorcycle. And then you want it to measure between 13/16 of an inch and 1 3/16. So if you target about an inch, then that's about right. The trick though is you'll adjust it and it'll seem okay, but then if you spin the wheel and check it again, you'll find that it's either tighter or looser. So you want to just keep spinning the wheel, checking it, and then get it into a range where it's within tolerance all the way around, even though some parts of the chain are stretched a little further than others. So on the chain side of the wheel, you can see this adjuster, but before we can do that, we have to loosen up the axle. So we put a wrench on here, we loosen up this nut, and then crank this adjuster out to move the wheel back until we get the right amount of play. And this is normal counterclockwise thread. That's good and loose. So now we'll just try adjusting the adjuster. And then set the other adjuster on the other side. And you want to set it to the same number on both sides and find a spot where it is exactly the right tension. I found a spot where it's about an inch of play, which is what I want. I don't really want it to be too super tight. But now we've got to rotate the wheel a bunch of times. I'm going to tighten up the axle first and then rotate the wheel a few times and just make sure that there's no tight spots. So before I tighten the axle, I just roll it backwards and then I hit the foot brake to make sure that I pushed it all the way back this way so that this thing is tight on both sides. And then I tighten up the axle and then I'll measure it. And the axle, when you're done with it, it needs 80 foot-pounds of torque on this nut. So what we'll do is we'll just move it, measure it, move it, measure the deflection, move it, and then measure the deflection. It's a little stretchy, so tighter in some areas than others, but overall I think it's good. Oh, and looser is better than too tight in this scenario, so I would always default to a little bit looser.